What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the JDW SportsTalkShow, where we fans welcome. We're here, we're ready to rock and roll for Hot Take Tuesday. Season 2, episode 27 is officially here. I'm pumped up, I'm excited. We have a couple of hot takes from our Discord server, and we are ready to rock and roll. So, if you would like to be featured in the future in Hot Take Tuesday, join that Discord, because when you drop a hot take every single week, it increases your chances to win a giveaway at the end of every month. So stick around. We're going to do a giveaway at the end of every month for Hot Take Tuesday. And yeah, that's all I got. So let's get into it. Let's not waste so much more of your time. So first up is from Joshua Kissinger. The AFC South will end like this. 1 Texans, 2 Jags, 3 Colts, 4 Titans. I agree with this. I can get with this. I think the Texans make sense. They're looking very good. They're looking awesome. CJ Stroud's looking awesome. I think CJ Stroud has put himself in the lead of the MVP race after yesterday. He's not even like he's a rookie. It's like he's been playing for like 4 to 5 years. He's in his prime. That's what it looks like. Stroud is killing it. He's got the second most yards in the league. He's got 15 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a 101 passer rating. He is on his way to having the best rookie year that a quarterback has ever had. Now, you could recall Patrick Mahomes' year, but his first year wasn't technically his rookie year. He sat for a year, played a little bit his rookie year, like a half or so. And then, of course, he burst out into the scene the next year. But technically, this is the best rookie campaign we have ever seen from a quarterback, and that's including Andrew Luck. He had a phenomenal year, but I think CJ Stroud is doing a little bit better. He does a little bit more than what Andrew Luck had, but CJ Stroud is still killing it. He's got great weapons, good. It seems like the offensive line is getting better. He knows how to step up in the pocket. He can run a little bit if you need him to. They're still trying to get the run game going, but I think they will eventually get it going. We'll see. That'll be vital into, getting some real big time success late in January, if they do get to that point. But I 100% see the Texans winning this division. The Texans are hot. The Jaguars were, but they just got smoked by the Niners, and the Niners are a good football team. And they did just lose to the Bengals 2 weeks ago because then they had the bye. Niners come out of the bye. They smoked the Jaguars. The Jaguars just don't really hit me as a great football team. They're good. They're mediocre. No, they're a little better than mediocre. They're good. They're a good football team, but they're not great. The Texans, I think they have a little more greatness to them because of the quarterback play. I think the weapons are more consistent. You may not have a Calvin Ridley or Christian Kirk, but Nico Collins and Tank Dell, they've been just fine, if not better than those two. The running game, like I said, the running game isn't really there, which can hurt them. But, and then you look at their defense. Their defense is going to give up points. They're going to give up yards. But it's a playmaking defense. They're going to get turnovers. They're going to force fumbles, get interceptions, pressure the quarterback. And, getting some turnovers and giving the ball back to your offense, which has been absolutely phenomenal with C.J. Stroud. I think, that's a recipe for success. That's a winning recipe. As long as they can get the run game going a little more, I think the Texans are going to be a very good football team down the stretch here. And the Texans also have a bit of an easier schedule. Hold on. Let's go through the schedules for the Texans and the Jags, because I don't think the Colts are in it. I don't think the Colts will win the division. I don't really think they're going to make the playoffs either. They're 5-5, but their offense is getting figured out. They only allowed the defense allowed 19 points in the last 2 games, something like that. But they played 2 really bad offenses, and down the stretch here, they're gonna play the Bengals, they're gonna play the Texans again, they're gonna play the Titans again, which that's winnable. You're gonna play the Bucs, who have a really good defense, and the Shane Steichen offense is starting to get figured out. There's only it's starting to come down to its talent level. It's starting to show its talent level that this offense is not very good. They could have good weeks, they could have nice weeks, especially if they get that run game going. But as we just saw last week, they couldn't get the run game going, and as a result, it wasn't, the offense sucked. It was bad. Gardner Minshew was happy feet. He's not a really good quarterback. Then last but not least, he had the Titans. They probably belong at 4. I think all these other teams, the Colts, Jags, and Texans, I think they're all clearly better than the Titans now. The Colts and Titans are a little closer than the leap from the Colts to the Jaguars, the Texans even. But so yeah, the Colts and the Titans, I think they're pretty close, but I think the Colts are a little bit better. I think the coaching is a little bit better right now. You have a better run game. The defense isn't as good. It's take it for what you will. I'm taking the coaching over what the Titans have right now. So yeah, and then so let's look at the Texans and Jaguars schedules remaining opponents. So the Texans play the Cardinals, the Jaguars, the Broncos, the Jets, the Titans, the Browns, the Titans again, and the Colts. So I say they beat the Colts the second time around. I say they beat the Titans both times. We could see an upset there. It seems like the Titans and the Texans always play really close games. All right, then you have the Browns. Let's say you lose to the Browns. The Browns have been killing it, but I mean, they just played a really, C.J. Stroud just played a good C.J. Stroud just played a really good passing defense, and the Bengals still killed it. Then you have the New York Jets. Take that for what you will. They have a really good defense. Offense is not very good. They should win that. They have the Broncos. We'll see how the Broncos look by them. They just beat the Chiefs and the Bills back to back in Arrowhead and in Buffalo. So that's impressive. Can they keep it going? And then you're playing Jacksonville. I see you beat Jacksonville again. I think the Texans are the better team than Jacksonville. They have a playmaking defense. They can get pressure on the quarterback, and the offense is much more consistent and much better than the Jaguars' offense. So I'm taking the Texans to beat the Jaguars. Arizona, that could be a close one. In all likelihood, the Texans could win out. The schedule is very winnable. You just beat the Bengals. You beat the Jaguars early on in the year. There's no reason why they can't win out. But odds are, they're going to slip up. They're going to have tough games, or they may struggle a bit in some games. But if they do lose a game here, I will say it's to the Browns is most likely, or one of the Tennessee games, because it's a divisional game. So the Texans winning is very likely. Very likely. And then the Jaguars' remaining schedule is not as easy. They have Tennessee, Houston. They still play the Bengals. Then they play the Browns. And then they play the Ravens. 3 weeks in a row. They play the Bengals, the Browns, and the Ravens 3 weeks in a row. That's a tough stretch. And they just got slaughtered by the Niners. And those are 3 really good teams right there. Are they going to be able to put together a performance to beat at least 1 or 2 of those teams? They're all AFC teams as well. So that's something to keep an eye on. All AFC teams. You lose to all those AFC teams, it's going to be tough. Jaguars. You have Tennessee and Houston. Of course, they should beat the Titans. Houston, I'm taking Houston. I think they'll win that one, but you never know. It's a divisional game. Tampa Bay, they should win that one, but Tampa Bay's defense is snaky. The Panthers, and then the Titans again. So the Texans have the easier schedule, the easier remaining schedule, by just looking at those teams. I'm not going off of technicality or looking at everyone's win and loss record, because every team changes from the beginning of the season to now. Every team is different. From the start of the season to about mid-season where we are now. We're starting to transition into the end of the season here in a couple of weeks, but regardless, the Texans, they're only getting better. The Colts, they're not really there. They may be 5-5, but don't let that record fool you. Their offense has not played well, even though they're high in terms of points scored per game, but they're not really there offensively. They play the Bucs. That's probably a loss. You play the Titans again. That's going to be a tough game. We'll see. They could sweep the Titans. The Bengals, that's probably a loss. The Steelers. Fun fact, the Colts haven't beaten the Steelers since 2009. Then you have the Falcons. That'd be a tough one. The Raiders. Raiders are looking pretty good right now. And now Houston. I wouldn't be shocked if the Colts only won two or 3 games out of that stretch. I wouldn't be shocked. I didn't even write down the Titans schedule because I don't see it. I don't see much in the Titans. They aren't a very good football team. But I think this is a great order. This is how I kind of see the rest of the, this is how I see the AFC South by the time it's all said and done. The Texans 1, Jaguars 2, Colts 3, and Titans 4. I'm going to go with cold. I think it's likely. I don't think this is too much of a hot take. I think it's cold. We're going to move the football in our meter down to cold. I'm not going to go ice cold because, the Jaguars are still a good football team. The Texans, they still have a rookie quarterback, but that rookie quarterback is looking like he's been playing football for a couple weeks now. So, I'm going to go cold. Next up. Dang it. Next hot take is from SilverSabs. CJ Stroud comes second place in MVP voting, only behind Lamar Jackson. As I mentioned earlier, CJ Stroud has been a beast. He's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league. There's a reason why the MVP race, there's a reason why his name is getting really loud and really relevant in this MVP race. He's thrown 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and if the Texans make the playoffs and win a playoff game and CJ Stroud continues to play the way he has been recently, which looks like he's only getting better, which is scary, I don't see any reason why CJ Stroud cannot win the MVP award. Lamar Jackson has played absolutely phenomenal, but more of the numbers are there for Stroud. Lamar Jackson has been awesome, right? But I think CJ Stroud should be the front runner. Really. You guys are going to really look at me after I say this and be like, huh? Get ready. Russell Wilson. If Russell Wilson keeps playing the way he does, I don't see why he can't be put in the MVP conversation. Russell Wilson is playing that good of football. Russell Wilson is playing some darn good football, man. So far this season, I pause it for a second because I want to look at some of the numbers for Russ, right? He has 18 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a 104 passer rating, 1,806 passing yards, and 67.9 completion percentage. We're seeing the old Russ. We're seeing Russ cook. Russ is cooking. I don't see why Russ can't be in this MVP conversation either. He's been playing that good. I know, it's kind of interesting hearing that name after the season he had last year. But Sean Payton has him going. He has him firing on all cylinders. The offensive line is picking it up. They're getting the run game going. The defense has gotten better. The Broncos have had a resurgence. They started the season so badly, and Russell Wilson is a big reason why this Broncos team is actually playing pretty well. Not just the defense. Yeah, they're running the ball well. Yeah, they have a pretty good coach. Russ is cooking. Let Russ cook. If Russ keeps playing this way, I don't see why Russ can't earn his first MVP nod of the season of his career. And some other guys that throw in this MVP race, Joe Burrow, he's up there with the best odds, but he was just outplayed by CJ. He was just outplayed. Josh Allen, no, he's not in the race right now. He's still up there in odds, but he shouldn't be. You have Lamar Jackson, fine. Tua, fine. Jalen Hurts, don't really see him winning it this year. Patrick Mahomes. Of course, Mahomes is going to be up there. Yeah, Mahomes, Tua, and Lamar. I think those 3 guys right there are his biggest competition. And if Russ keeps playing the way he has, I don't see why Russ can't be thrown in that conversation either. A lot of people are hating on Russ. Well, they're not really hating. They're just not really giving him the props he deserves this year. I get it. He was really bad last year, and he was bad. I understand that. But this year, he has been nothing short of great. So, the issue with CJ Stroud winning MVP is, are they going to go with a historical outlier and CJ Stroud and vote for him? I think this is where it hurts CJ Stroud being a rookie. The last rookie to win an MVP in his rookie year, I believe, was Jim Brown. Yes, it was Jim Brown. I double checked. So he really has the odds stacked up against him, but if he keeps playing the way he is, I don't think they're going to have any choice but to keep on raising his odds. For the voters to start giving him the praise, the respect that he earns in this race. He just outplayed Joe Burrow, one of the better quarterbacks in the last couple of years here. Let's not forget, Patrick Mahomes won it his technically it wasn't his rookie year, but it was his first year playing. So I don't see why CJ Stroud cannot win it if he keeps playing this way. And you talk about Joe Burrow, right? He had the rough first half, or the rough first 4 games of the season. He struggled, didn't look great, and that was his calf, whatever. No one cares. With all due respect, Joe Burrow, no one cares about the injury. If you're not performing, you're not going to be in the MVP race. That's just the truth. And having a whole month of not playing great due to that, people aren't going to give an excuse for the injury when it comes to MVP race. They don't care. The voters don't care. If you're gonna play a game, you better be able to give your best. You better be able to do your job. If you can't do your job, then don't play. You know what I'm saying? It's harsh. That's just the way it goes. Lamar Jackson, he's played phenomenal. He's played great. Tua's been awesome. Patrick Mahomes has been not as good, but he's still been great. It's not necessarily he hasn't been as good. He has Kelsey. Who does he have after that to make plays for him? No one. So I'm going to go hot. And the reason is I love this take. And I think CJ Stroud should absolutely get some respect, and his name should start be throwing into that MVP race. He's a rookie. And that's what hurts. But if the Texans make the playoffs, and the MVP race, there's no clear-cut winner right now. There's no one pulling away in the race. So it's tight, which I think makes it even more difficult for CJ Stroud to win it. Of course you have Mahomes. Of course you have Lamar. Of course you have Tua. But the issue is he doesn't have anything other than this year. And, if it was up to me, I don't care. If he plays like an MVP, like the best player in the league, he leads the Texans to a playoff spot, and he wins a spot even, I think if CJ Stroud continues to play this way, and the Texans win a playoff game, CJ Stroud should be the MVP. In my book, he will be the MVP. I don't care what the NFL says. I don't care who they vote for at the NFL honors. But the reality is he only has 1 year under his belt. It's his rookie year. And the moment he has 1 or 2 bad, rough games, he's a rookie. It's bound to happen. But he hasn't played like a rookie. That's the thing. It's just, it's tough. He's playing at an MVP caliber, but he's a rookie. But if you get the Texans to the playoffs, if he could win a playoff game, then CJ Stroud is my MVP. Absolutely, 100%. Okay. So, and I am going hot because it's going to be a tight race. You have Tua in there, you have Lamar, you have Mahomes, and they have a history. They have a backing. But let's not forget where Mahomes' history started. He won MVP in his rookie year. It wasn't technically his rookie year. It was his first year of playing a full season worth of football, playing serious football. First year he sat all year long. He played a couple snaps at the end of his rookie year. I'm gonna go hot. I want to go warm. I want to go cold. I want to go something lower than hot. I don't want to say it's very unrealistic, but it kind of is. Just because of the reasons I listed. And it's unfortunate that's just how it goes. So, yeah, I'm going hot with that one, unfortunately. Let's reset it. Let's reset our scale. And let's get to the next hot take. All right. Tones. Josh Dobbs' main character season comes to an end. Spelling error. Comes to an end when Pat Surtain humbles him with a pick six, and the Broncos win. Hold on, I wrote down because I didn't have enough room to fit that in. He's saying the Broncos will win 27-16. So, like I said, Joshua Dobbs coming to the Vikings, right? That entire offense is going to have to be relearned from a defensive perspective, from a defensive coordinator's perspective. That entire offense has to be relearned. Because Josh Dobbs is a completely different kind of quarterback than Kirk Cousins. Joshua Dobbs wants to run the football more. It opens up the run game for the Vikings. This is like a whole different team. It's a whole different offense, and that plays to their strengths until teams start to figure it out. The tape is out. They figure out how to stop it, which we see happen often. Our quarterback come into his spot, plays really good football, and eventually he fizzles out. And it's because of the reason I just spoke about, that I just told you. Typically, tape catches up to him. But you could also make the argument on Joshua Dobbs' side is that he only had 4 or 5 days. He's only been with the Vikings for, 2 weeks now? Yet, he's playing great football. He hasn't worked with the receivers at all previously. He didn't know any of the playbook. So it's impressive for him to come in and do that kind of stuff. So really the argument that can be made for, against the tape coming out is that his game is only going to evolve and get better. The playbook is only going to open up more as he gets to know it more, as he gets to know his receivers better, as the running game continues to get better under him, because he can run the football. It makes it that much more difficult for a defense to stop the run, especially have to relearn, the way an entire offense plays. And on top of that, it is one of the best. The Vikings have one of the better offense lines in the league right now, if not the best. It is that good. Ever since Ezra Cleveland was benched, they brought up Dalton Reisner, however the heck you say his name. That offense line has been one of the better in the league. They've gotten healthy. Unfortunately, Kirk Cousins went down. If he didn't go down, I could see this Vikings team making a push. Once again, I think they're better than last year if they have Kirk. But we'll see as how Joshua Dobbs evolves in the system. Now the Broncos. Let's talk about the Broncos. I don't get it. Russell Wilson looks like an MVP candidate. The Broncos just beat two offensive powerhouses, and the defense did a very good job. They beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead, and they beat the Bills in Buffalo. Yeah, some of the best teams in the league would struggle to do that, but they did have a bye week in between, so it absolutely does help. But you still beat two of some of the most prolific teams in the NFL in terms of offensively. Well, we'll talk about the Bills in a little bit, maybe. Bills have struggled. A lot of turnovers. And speaking of turnovers, the Broncos have forced a ton of turnovers so far. Last 2 weeks the last 2 weeks they played versus the Chiefs and the Bills, they forced a crap load of turnovers. But to say that Patrick Surtain will get a pick six, to say that anyone will get a pick six, that's piping hot right out the gate. Because Joshua Dobbs has been playing good. He may not throw the football enough for an opportunity to present itself. But sometimes, it just takes one play, obviously. I'm going to say the pick six part is piping hot. But the Broncos defense bringing this character's season to an end for Josh Dobbs. I'm going to go warm, hot, in between of warm and hot, okay? So he has the Broncos beaten the Cardinals. The way the Broncos are playing, not the Cardinals, the Vikings, the way the Broncos are playing, I don't see why they cannot. The Vikings have been a good football team. But in that second half, it seems like the Saints got something figured out in that offense. They looked like the very best football team in the first half versus the Saints. Could they continue that? Obviously they weren't in the second half. They looked like a completely different team in the second half. The Saints may have gotten something figured out. And for damn sure that Sean Payton is going to look into, the Broncos defensive coordinator is going to look into what they did. And they're going to try to replicate that in their own way. But having the Broncos winning this one, I think it's a good prediction. I'm not saying that's my prediction yet, but I'm gonna go right in the middle between warm and cold. I think it's possible. It's kind of no. I'm gonna go cold. I think the Broncos will probably beat the Vikings as long as they continue to play the way they have. I keep saying the Cardinals because we have Josh Dobbs on the screen, and my brain keeps reverting to the Cardinals. Okay, but like I said, Josh Dobbs has been great. His running ability is out of this world. He's one of the better running quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And that opens things up in the passing game. That makes the Vikings run offense better. And we're going to see if how the Broncos will do against the run game, which, in the beginning of the season, their defense was one of the worst in the league, especially versus the run. And their defense in general was one of the worst. But I don't think I've ever seen a defense make such a 180 turnaround than the Broncos defense did. It's impressive. Went from being one of the worst to they allowed the Chiefs to 9 points. They allowed the Bills to 22, and they turned the ball over, 4 or 5 times? Something to keep an eye out for. And to say that Josh Dobbs is going to do even better, I don't know about that. Now, Josh Allen hasn't looked good. And, the Bills and the Chiefs, they both have their blemishes. Vikings do as well, but the Vikings have some weapons. Jordan Addison. I don't know if Justin Jefferson is going to be back this week. KJ Osborne is really reliable. Love KJ Osborne. He's very underrated. I like Brandon Powell. They have good depth at receiver. They have some good receivers. And tight end, TJ Hawkinson, he's awesome. He's great. So, I'm not going to say this is the first test. It's more so, they're playing some real weapons. No, they played Stephon Diggs last week, so you can't really say that. Saying the Broncos win 27-16. I want to say it's cold. I say they win. I think that's a good bet. So, that's it for this hot take. I think that was a fun one to talk about. As all of these were really fun to talk about. As we're getting down to the stretch of the season, it's getting more and more intense, which is more to talk about, there's more to go through. Next up. Last but not least, head of the table 23. Bills will not make the playoffs in 2023. The way they're looking right now, they don't look like they're going to make it. But I'm feeling Josh Allen, that defense is beat up. I think they're going to get it figured out. They always seem to. They always seem like they have this stretch in the middle of the season where the Bills just don't look like a good football team. For a couple of years in a row now, that's what it has been. So are the Bills going to bounce back this year? Is Josh Allen going to start taking care of the football? And one thing I don't like about Josh Allen at all is I noticed that Josh Allen, he is very, I think he thinks he is above the team. I think he thinks he is above his teammates because he goes and sits on the bench and looks at his iPad or whatever he's on, the Microsoft service, and he doesn't even go and talk to teammates. He doesn't, traverse around the sideline and talk to everyone and see how everyone's doing and, just kind of make sure the team is there. I don't see any leadership from Josh Allen. It doesn't seem like that he even cared that they lost either. He really didn't. He doesn't seem like a leader to me. He doesn't seem like, yeah, he's very talented, but I think he's full of himself. Truth is, I think that's the truth with Josh Allen. I think he's full of himself. And I think it's showing in the rest of the team. They're not really playing as hard. They're not really, giving it their all, I don't think. I don't really see that. That's why this team is inconsistent as well. That's not the leader aspect of it. That's him just playing football aspect of it. Is he's so inconsistent, and usually once you get into his head, once you hit him a couple times and get him mad and get him playing bad, he can't refocus. Josh Allen has a lot of work to do. Is Josh Allen the next Carson Wentz or quarterback that has 1 or 2 really impressive years and he just tampers off and he's no longer getting fortunate, and his arm gets him out of a lot of bad situations. He makes a lot of bad decisions. He's thrown the most interceptions in the league so far. And yeah, that is more than Jordan Love. That is more than Desmond Ridder. That is more than some of these worst quarterbacks in the league. Now, he's absolutely not worse than these guys. He's not one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. His running ability is impressive. But his arm gets him out of a lot of bad situations. Really makes him look better than he is at times. And sometimes being a quarterback, if you have an elite arm, awesome, but if you can't make the right decisions, if you can't make the important throws on 3rd and 4th down, or even the nice little drags, do the little things right. I don't think the Bills do the little things right. Yeah, the defense is beat up, this and that, but in general, they didn't do the little things right. And it shows. It catches up with you. And, the concerning thing is, they lost to the Patriots a couple weeks ago, and the Patriots scored, 29 points against them? I don't think the Patriots have come close to that. They couldn't even score 10 against a poor Colts defense, a crappy Colts defense that couldn't even score 10 against them. I don't get it. And what's concerning is it's not like they lost to good football teams. It's not like they're losing to great football teams. That win versus the Dolphins, 48-20, is like a big, like, how did they do that? But then you lose to the Broncos, and then you lose to the Patriots. It doesn't make sense to me. And on top of that, let's take a peek at their remaining schedule. They play the New York Jets. I said they beat them the second time around, but you don't know what Josh Allen you're going to get. You don't know what team you're going to get in general. Eagles, probably a loss. Dallas, probably a loss. Chargers, probably a loss. Pats, can they beat them the second time around? I sure hope so. Miami in the last week, probably a loss. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. And the Dolphins, while the Bills are here struggling versus the Patriots, the Broncos, the Dolphins are just taking this division away. They're the clear favorites. This is their division to lose. I don't see anyone else in this division catching up with the Dolphins. And the Dolphins' remaining schedule isn't even that bad. They've gotten through a lot of their tough games. They still have some tough games, absolutely, but a lot of them they have home. Saying the Bills will not make the playoffs, it's so difficult to see them not making it because of how talented they are. So yeah, let's take a peek at the playoff picture itself. The Bills are in the bubble. They're not even having a wild card spot. So the Dolphins are 6-3. So technically they're one game behind the Dolphins considering they beat them. But they have all these tough games coming up. And unless they really get their crap together, I don't think they're going to win the division. I don't think they're going to overcome the Dolphins. I think this is the Dolphins' division to lose right now. But you look at this playoff picture, right? You got the Texans, the Browns, and the Steelers in there. So the Bills, the Texans are playing really good. It's looking like the Texans might end up taking the AFC South as we talked about earlier. And if they do, right, the Jaguars fall into wild card. The Bills need to have a better record than the Jaguars because the Jaguars beat them. The Jaguars beat them. And they lost to the Bengals. They lost to the Jets, who are 4-5. They just lost to the Broncos, who are 4-5. They're getting themselves into a situation where if they keep losing, if they lose some of these really tough games on the stretch, like Philly, Dallas, the Chargers, and Miami in the last week, they're going to need some help to get in. They're not going to get in on their own. Who even says they're going to be in the picture at this point if they're not eliminated by losing to some of those teams on the stretch already? It's not looking good for them. It's not. But to say they're going to miss the playoffs, I'm going to go warm. I'm not going to say it's hot. I'm not going to say it's cold. I'm going to say it's unlikely, but they can very well do it. They can very well make the playoffs. I would not be shocked one bit if they make the playoffs, and they're looking like the Bills that we know. But we have to see it. We have to see it first, and they have to get it together down the stretch here when they're playing some of the most difficult teams to play in the NFL. But they always have this mid-season stretch where they just suck. And is it the inconsistencies? Is it Josh Allen being inconsistent? I feel like the team is lost. I feel like Josh Allen doesn't have this team. I don't think he's a leader. I think he's kind of like Russell Wilson in terms of he thinks he's above the team in a way. I think he's above his teammates. That's what he thinks anyways. But, hey guys, that's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you guys stopping by. I thought this was a really fun episode. It lasted a little longer than I thought for having 4 takes, but there were takes that really took some time to get through and talk about. But hey, I appreciate you guys dropping hot takes. We're going to have a point system coming out in the future for the giveaways. So, like, the giveaway is going to be at the end of the month, right? So, if you drop a hot take every week in that month, your chances of winning will be better. It'll be better. I think, I'm going to get some kind of point system going to kind of, give a motive to want to drop a hot take, and, you guys don't need that. Absolutely not. But the ones who do consistently drop hot takes, you're going to have an advantage in the giveaways, who's here all the time. I appreciate you guys and, the members as well. But, yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show and episode 27 of Season 2 of Hot Take Tuesday. Episode 27 of Season 2. Wow, I think this might be episode 60, like, in general and all. So we're 40 episodes away from 100, which is pretty wild. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in to the JW Sports Talk Show. I hate ending a Hot Take Tuesday. I hate ending it. I'll catch you guys next week.